Are you about to give a conference paper? And more importantly, are you about to do it for the first time? Well, if you are, I might have a few tips for you. The first thing I would say is that you probably sent off the title and abstract for your paper a few months, possibly 6 months ago. And your ideas may have changed a bit since then, and you may want to rework the title slightly. Well, changing the subject of your paper entirely is more problematic, but normally conference organisers are happy for you to slightly reword your question to better fit the way you'd like to present it now. So you can do this. The main thing is to communicate with the conference organisers. Another thing is that when you're sort of 2 or 3 weeks away from the conference itself, it's normally considered courteous to write to the person chairing your actual session and providing them with information that you're happy for them to share to introduce you before you give your paper. So that could be what you're working on, what your future research is about, suitable information to introduce your work. The next bit of advice is about writing your paper. Now, academic papers are normally around 20 minutes in length. So I tend to aim for around 17 to 18 minutes of content. No one ever complains if academic papers are a few minutes too short, but they complain very much if you run over time. So I tend to provide myself with a little bit of slack just to make sure I'm not going to come up against the 20-minute deadline. Another thing to think about is how you write your paper. Now, the way that you write, an article or an essay is not the same as the way that you write an academic paper. You're writing so that you can speak it out. So perhaps think about how you're going to write this so that you can communicate it effectively. Perhaps fewer really long sentences full of grammar and perhaps a few shorter, punchier sentences that are easier to say. But think through how you're actually going to speak this out. Another good bit of advice is to make sure you go to the room where you're going to give the paper in advance. This is particularly important if you have any tech needs, if you want to run a PowerPoint or you have other things that you need to sort out. The last thing you want is to be trying to make the tech work in front of a live audience. And so going to the rooms, making sure everything's working, everything's where it needs to be, that's a good thing to do in advance so that it all runs smoothly. And finally, and this is crucial, make sure you have a backup. Whether on a USB or on a script or whatever works best for you, having a backup of your presentation is really important. You don't want to get there and suddenly find that actually you don't have your script or your PowerPoint or all the things that you need. So I'm hoping you found these tips useful, and I do hope your paper goes well.